And at some point, I will make a major donation after all of the smoke and ashes have settled here and we figure out what the rebuilding is going to look like. This is going to be a long and difficult process. But
meanwhile, and I wanted to share some local updates, shocking or maybe not. About the fires? Did you hear that the government of Hawaii states their goal is to rebuild and make the entire island of Maui the first smart island? They want the entire island governed by AI, as outlined in the Hawaii Digital Government Summit of 2023, that they plan to host next month on September 25th, 2023 on Maui. Wow! Now they're going to come to the rescue for this horrible problem. And last January in 2023, there was a Smart City Conference in Maui to turn Maui, again, into the Smart City Island, pushing everything electric, making 15-minute smart cities. And there was also a contract last year to build a high-rise condo complex and businesses in Lahaina, which was a historic town that couldn't have any new development in this area. But now it's demolished. So now, I guess they have to rebuild.
Okay, welcome back to the show. We're getting towards the end of my coverage of the Maui fire, so let's get on with it. Hawaii utility companies face lawsuit amid Maui fires over downed, energized power lines. Now, again, this is the non-conspiracy angle that I actually lean towards being a little bit more accurate. I've referenced this in other episodes leading up to this point. But yeah, I think a large chunk of these fires could be related to downed power lines. They had a hurricane go through there. It's a dry season, and a lot of it, as I said before, has to do with very shitty liberal policies that divert funding and cut funding from places where they should be to areas where they don't need to be, and also incentivize a large welfare state. So money is constantly being burned through while it's being printed, adding to inflation, and then you have policies that cut back on people's ability to do controlled burns and clear bushes. That's all kinds of fuckery. And then, there's also Hawaii that wants to vote for people like Joe Biden, and then Hawaii's governor and their various mayors and whatnot all want to sit back and be like, why isn't Joe Biden helping us? What the fuck? I thought Joe Biden was going to help us. And it's like, no, why did you think that? How could you think that? You should have known that he was never going to help you to begin with. But they're still going to vote for him in 2024, and I had that opinion. Hawaii will not prove me wrong, I guarantee it. And if Hawaii does prove me wrong, alright, a fair fucking play. Good on you, I'll give it to you. But ultimately, bad policies, refusal to learn from previous failures of left-wing policies that resulted in people dying in the volcano eruption just a couple of years back. I don't know if Hawaii can learn from these things. They don't. They vote the same way every time, and they demand the same faux socialist policies where the government pays for more and more of their shit. Sorry. No. As a whiny man in the forest once said, welfare dollars shouldn't be used to pay for your bag of hoe rounds, or whatever the fuck. Let's get into it. The firm alleges the company downed power lines contributed significantly to the fires in Maui. By Thomas Stevenson. 3 law firms filed class action lawsuits against the Hawaiian Electric Company on Saturday. The firms allege the company downed power lines contributed significantly to the deadliest fire in a century in the United States. Is it in the United States? I understand they're part of the United States, but is it fair to say in the United States? It's like kind of like Alaska. It's a weird. I know they're states. But even as an American, it's kind of interesting to wrap your head around the idea of a state not being part of your land mass you live on. Like, the idea of islands makes sense. Like, okay, I can own an island. But then, like, a clump of islands is now a state. This corner of Alaska is now a state. It's a little weird. It's cool. I'm fine with it. No particular issues with it. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of how Hawaii became a state. Or the policies brought in by Hawaii. Meanwhile, you know, I'm a fan of oil, I'm a fan of coal, I'm a fan of nuclear fission, all things that Alaska is pretty interested in pursuing and already does pursue. Not to mention it pays its citizens to live there for the oil that is underneath their surface. So, you know, Alaska just seems pretty fucking swanky. Whereas Hawaii is the complete opposite, bans all kinds of different energy sources, is relying more and more on green energy, wants to develop more 15-minute cities, is big with Davos group of movers and shakers. It's just, you know, But, moving on. According to the local Hawaiian news outlet that obtained the complaint, the company Hawaiian Electric supplies 95% of the state's power and inaccessibly kept their power lines energized during forecast high fire danger conditions. It's a weirdly worded sentence right here. Jack Posobiec on Maui. The official narrative doesn't match what the people on the ground are saying. Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that video, actually. With the death count around 93 on the fires on Maui is the deadliest American wildfire in 105 years. With the law firm bringing the suit are Lip Smith LLP among with Foley Bezic Bell and Curtis LLP and Robertson and Associates LLP. 4 days before the fires in Maui, the National Weather Service NWS warned in a post on X that a tropical storm was approaching the island. Hashtag Hurricane Dora tracking south of Hawaii and is forecast to stay well south. Indirect paths are possible, especially Monday into Wednesday. High surf along east-facing shores, strong and gusty trade winds, dry weather, and high fire danger. We'll continue to monitor Hurricane Dora. There you go. The NWS said that Hawaii could face indirect impacts from Hurricane Dora. In addition, warnings of strong and gusty winds as well as dry weather and high fire damage were given. Hawaii Electric became aware of these warnings, yet did not shut down the power lines that came down. The suit alleges that the island experienced loss of life, property, and serious injuries as a result of the company not taking timely action. Okay, well, the power lines went down, and they don't know which ones went down immediately. I don't know. I just kind of wonder how fast they were able to respond, and if maybe they did respond as fast as possible. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Part of this feels like they're pawning something off on this electric company to me. But I'm conspiracy mind driven, as it's been lately said. So, it's just, I got like, things like Thomas Edison, its electric company got in like Toledo, Illinois, and Michigan. They got some similar, like Edison Electric, EE, I think is what they got in Wisconsin. I might be wrong though. But, you get to call and report down power lines. To them, they're just like, a breaker box acted up. All right, let's send somebody out there to go check it out. But if that breaker box doesn't act up immediately, that they're not going to know immediately if people don't report it. And in a fire situation, I don't know how many people are looking at power lines and not the fires around them while they're trying to flee. Seems a little unfair in some way. But I'm also not that familiar with the topic of how power line repairmen and electric companies actually work. So I'm making assumptions here based off of my personal experience interacting with these companies. So, if I have anybody listening to the show who works in these fields, let me know how the system should go. Co-founder of Lipsmith, Graham Lipsmith, said, quote, "We have been representing thousands of homeowners across the state of Hawaii for many years now, and we are humbled to represent the victims and survivors of this tragedy. The practice of shutting down the power lines during weather conducive to conditions for a wildfire is common practice in the western United States. In California, for example, down power lines have resulted in many wildfires across the state." According to the complaint, Jennifer Potter, a member of the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission, said there, quote, "was absolutely knowledge within the state and within the electric industry that the fire was huge concern on the island of Maui." Potter stated in the suit that Hawaii Electric was, quote, "not proactive as they should have been." The last wildfire resulting in more deaths took place in 1918, when 453 people were killed in the Kaliku and Moose Lake fires in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Yeah. Oh, look, the biolabs in Ukraine I've been talking about. Interesting how that seems to pop up. Now, that being said, I'm going to wrap this episode up right here. I got 2 more episodes about the Maui fires coming up after this, and then we'll get into more political Trump-related indictment-type news. All right, folks, talk to you later.